All right, KC, one more pick apiece here, and it is coming from the same game. Big AFC clash. This could ultimately decide a playoff spot, perhaps, or maybe make a tiebreaker. Browns and Patriots getting together in New England. It is Patriots -2. The total is 45. You've got to pick on the total. I've got to pick on the side. Let's hear what you've got for the total.
On the total, I like the over on this because the Patriots offense, people keep thinking it's Mac Jones, and okay, I think they're still reflecting on what the Patriots were in the first 4 weeks of the year when they scored 17 or fewer points on 3 occasions. They've scored 24 or more points in 5 straight games, and they scored, it's 25, 29, 54, 27, and 24. Their running game is doing fantastic. They've had 142 more rushing yards in 3 straight games, 120 more in 5 straight games. I look at what they're doing offensively and say, okay, they can hold up their end of the deal. I think they'll get at least 24, and they could probably get a little more than that. And Cleveland's offense, it's not great. I keep looking at. I'd like to look at either pass to victory, or in this case, pass to scoring. And you can see they've got past to being able to score. They are still a very good running team. The Patriots have been inconsistent stopping run. They're good sometimes. They're not good other times. They also have some weaknesses in their secondary to the Patriots. Jalen Mills is shaky in coverage, not horrible, but you can definitely throw at him. And I'm seeing the Browns having enough in their arsenal where I can easily see them getting to 20 points, 17, 20 points at least. And I can see pass forward from that. And I go, okay, well, the Patriots just have to have a slightly better game than that to be able to get this thing over. So I keep looking at this going, if Bill Parcells just say we play a game 10 times, how often will his team win? Why do the same thing when it comes to things like this? If I'm looking at this going, if these teams play 10 times, how many times do I think they're getting there? I don't think they're getting there 10 times out of 10, which you'd really like to see, but I can see 7 out of 10 pass because the Patriots offense is doing that well right now.
If they were getting there 10 out of 10 times, KC, this would be 47 and a half, not 45.
Right.
That's how that works. So I'm on the side, and I like the Browns actually in this spot. I like the Browns +2 at New England, and it really comes down to something we saw fully formed against Cincinnati last week. I feel like we've been creeping in this direction with Cleveland over the last couple of weeks, but we saw it in its full form a week ago, and that's that when this defense is at full strength, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL, potentially the very best defense in the NFL. And we saw that last week. When you've got Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney getting upfield, when you've got guys like Denzel Ward and John Johnson doing what they do behind that, you can do a lot of really fun things on the defensive side of the ball. JOK expected to be back for Cleveland also this week. And I just think that this New England team is going to have a lot of trouble against the defense like that. You mentioned what they've been able to do over these last few weeks. They haven't seen a defense like Cleveland's in any of those games. And now let's rewind just a couple of years here. Let's go back to the last year Tom Brady was in New England. Just the obvious defaults or deficiencies in this offense are out wide. There's just not a lot of speed, not a lot of athleticism. That was a problem for this team in 2019. Tom Brady leaves, goes to greener pastures in Tampa. Last year, 2020, with Cam Newton, same issues. Just not a lot of speed or athleticism out wide. Not a lot to challenge defenses. Not a lot for defenses to respect. It means defenses can feel comfortable to take some gambles. And the same thing is happening with this team this season. They find ways to win. Obviously, Bill Belichick, a great coach. They're doing really good work with Mac Jones. Mac Jones unquestionably is getting better and better as the season progresses. But there's just not a lot to threaten any sort of defense. And that is a bad formula to bring against a defense that has the speed and the athleticism that Cleveland's has. You throw in the fact that we're probably playing without Damian Harris in this game. Ramondre Stevenson, I think he can maybe be a one-for-one replacement for Damian Harris, but we haven't seen it. And then we haven't seen what happens as the domino effect beyond that, because we've seen Ramondre Stevenson as a nice complement to Damian Harris. But if he steps up, who's the complement to him? Is it J.J. Taylor? Is it Brandon Bolden? And that matters for a team that maybe can't challenge Cleveland on the outside. And so I just start to add all these things up, and I feel like Cleveland's in a much better position to play without Nick Chubb than New England is to play without Damian Harris, and that's what it looks like it's going to be for Cleveland. Obviously, Nick Chubb can get back off the COVID list, but we haven't seen anyone do it. Even though he's vaccinated, he just needs the 2 negative tests. We haven't seen anyone do that this season. So I think at this point we have to assume it's going to be Dearness Johnson. I think that Cleveland can replicate what they do better than New England can replicate what they want to do when they're at full strength. I really like the Browns in this spot. Give me the Browns +2.
And I also like the idea that both these teams have very opportunistic defenses. You see pick sixes from these defenses. You would not be surprised at all to see a defensive touchdown come up, which And once you get a defensive touchdown, suddenly now the offenses only need 38 points. And I do like the Browns from this perspective to be able to pull off the upset. I very much like that. I think they're going to want to turn this into, or it will end up turning into a higher scoring game than they think. I think it's going to be 27-24, something like that. But I could easily see the Browns getting to that. Because again, the Patriots, as good as their defense is, it is opportunistic. They do have some coverage weaknesses as well that they haven't had in past years. They're not glaring, because it's Bill Belichick and he doesn't let that happen. But Jalen Mills is a guy who I wouldn't be surprised to see them target him 10 times in this contest.
Best unit on the field in this game is the Browns defense, and I think by a long shot, and that's why I like getting the points back in that Browns defense. Think they keep things rolling and get what could be a very big win considering how clustered up the AFC is right now.